FPL is back and the Best Captain series returns. It's been a long break, so let's not make it any longer. We'll start by building the shortlist. Some things never change. First up on the shortlist is Mo Salah against Fulham away from home. Secondly is Son against Southampton. He's got the home advantage. And lastly is his teammate Kane, who of course has the same fixture. He's at a slight disadvantage because he's a forward. Son and Salah are midfielders. They get an extra point per goal and the clean sheet point potential as well. Firstly, we'll take a look at the non-penalty stats from last season. Just a quick rundown of these stats. It's the goals per 90 minutes times by 5 for Salah and Son because they're midfielders, times by 4 for Kane, and they all get the assist times by 3. You add them together and that's the weighted stats. It works the same for the underlying stats as well, except from we use expected goals and expected assists instead of goals and assists. You can see in Kane's numbers that it is a drawback being a forward getting the times 4 multiplier on the goals. Salah's the standout player. He's got 0.9 expected return points per 90 minutes more than Son in second place, and his expected return points per 90 minutes are 0.6 higher as well. So not only is his return rate better, he's actually expected to get more too. He's the clear winner of this section. Moving on to the set pieces, Salah and Kane are on penalties, which obviously means Son isn't on penalties for Spurs. However, he does take indirect free kicks and corners. He takes the odd direct free kick here and there as well. As for Kane, not only does he take penalties, he's the main man on direct free kicks as well. Salah isn't on any free kick or corner duties. Kane might not be on indirect free kicks or corners, but he does take the most valuable set pieces and therefore he is the winner of this section. Let's take a look at the probability of each player scoring or assisting. Kane has the best chance of scoring with 56% and Salah trails by just 1%. Son is a whopping 17% behind, but he has got the highest chance of assisting by 9%. Both Salah and Kane are neck and neck with 69% anytime return odds. As I've mentioned a couple of times already, Kane gets 20% less points for a goal, so Salah wins on the weighted odds and he edges it on this section. Next up are the points projections where Fantasy Football Fix and Fantasy Football Scout both disagree with each other, which goes to show how close captaincy is split this game week. Fix has Son as the highest and Salah as the lowest. On the other hand, Scout have Salah as the highest. The highest overall is Salah, but Son is only 0.1 behind. I'd say he's the winner of this section because his average is 6.9, Salah's 6.5 and Kane is just 6.3. By comparing the opposition's defence, we can see there's not much between the opponents. It's worth mentioning that Fulham's championship numbers have a 1.6 multiplier applied to them. That's because the Premier League is roughly 60% more difficult from a defensive perspective. There's nothing to split the sides on the expected goals conceded. They've both conceded a goal and a half per game on average. Kane and Son's opponents Southampton have a 10% chance of obtaining a clean sheet, whilst Fulham only have an 8% chance. To be fair, that's not much difference when it's so low. The Saints were really leaky at the back last season. They conceded almost 2 goals per game. That's 20% more goals conceded than Fulham, which makes the Spurs players the winners of this section. Before we make a decision, we'll carry out a quick risk assessment. All 3 players have had a week's worth of rest since pre-season. Son did only feature for 67 minutes in Spurs' last fixture, but that doesn't worry me. He has got the least reliable minutes, but only by 4, and Kane's got the most reliable, 2 minutes ahead of Salah. The main thing is I've not got any concerns about the fitness of any of these 3 players. All things considered, I think the best captain for game week 1 is Mo Salah. If you don't own the Egyptian, I'd say the other 2 options are both viable. If I had to pick between the pair of them, I would pick Kane because he's on penalty duties and he's got a higher probability of returning, which both swing it for me. For those of you who want more content from the channel, I've got a video being published tomorrow morning with my final team selection for game week 1. There'll be a best captain video every game week. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of them. Thanks for watching, best of luck with your season, and I'll see you here again for game week 2.